Just because Bai Yueguang Meng Xingru said one thing, Shen Yuan sent me to a women's virtue academy for reform. 3 years of imprisonment completely dissolved the bond of our childhood friendship that had lasted over a decade. After getting out, I cut off my past obsessive love and turned to marry a good man, later cherished like a treasure by my new husband. When I saw Shen Yuan again, he pestered me relentlessly but couldn't earn a shred of my pity. You disgust me. The heavy iron door let out a harsh creak as it slowly opened. Dazzling sunlight streamed in, and I instinctively raised a hand to shield my eyes. 3 years, for 3 whole years, I hadn't seen light this bright. During those 3 years, I was kept in a tiny room of less than 10 square meters, forced to memorize the female precepts and disciple rules and made to learn how to be a docile woman. Any resistance was met with beatings, scolding, and starvation. They said I was too strong-willed, too opinionated, not feminine enough. They said Mr. Shen paid a large sum to send me here for my own good. Only I knew that all of this was Shen Yuan's doing. Shen Yuan and I grew up together as childhood sweethearts 15 years ago. We co-founded Ankong Intelligence. I was in charge of technology, and he handled marketing. We went from a small workshop of just 3 people to an industry leader valued at several billion. Everyone said we were a perfect match, and I believed we would keep going like that, marrying, having children, growing old together until Meng Xingru came back 3 years ago. Meng Xingru was Shen Yuan's childhood playmate who had spent over a decade abroad. On the very day of her return, she tugged on Shen Yuan's arm and said in a sweet, delicate voice, "Yuan's sister Su is so amazing, even more capable than you. Aren't you afraid she'll end up lording it over you? Women should be gentle. Being too strong will bring bad luck to their husbands." With that one sentence, Shen Yuan changed. He began restricting me in every way, keeping me from attending important company meetings and forbidding me from meeting privately with male clients. He said a woman's place was to be a homemaker and raise children, and that it was improper for her to appear too publicly. We argued and fought about it, but it was no use. His control over me grew stronger and stronger until on the day I refused to quit my job and become a full-time housewife, he had several men storm into my office, force me into a car and deliver me to this so-called Mingda Women's Academy. In these 3 years, he has visited me only 3 times. Each time, he asked if I had come around and if I was willing to hand over the source code of the core algorithm. Every time, I refused. I know that once I give up the source code, I will have no value left. All that would await me is something far worse. Today marks the end of my 3 years of reform. I lowered my hand from shielding my eyes and saw Shen Yuan standing not far away. He was wearing a custom-made black suit, more mature and composed than 3 years ago, but also colder. Standing beside him was a woman in a white dress, Meng Xingru. Meng Xingru held onto Shen Yuan's arm. When she saw me, she put on a hypocritical smile. "Sister Su, you're finally out. These 3 years must have been hard on you." I ignored her and kept my eyes on Shen Yuan. Shen Yuan walked up to me, looked me up and down and frowned. "Still so lifeless. Looks like these 3 years of reform haven't been enough." He reached out, pinched my chin and forced me to look at him. "Su Yentzi, I'll give you one more chance." Bowen apologized to Xingru. "Tell her you were wrong to be so rude to her before, then come back with me obediently and hand over the algorithm source code. I can pretend none of this ever happened and let you continue being my fiancé." Meng Xingru hid behind Shen Yuan, looking at me smugly, her eyes full of defiance. I looked into Shen Yuan's cold eyes and the last lingering illusion in my heart shattered completely. 15 years of growing up together, 7 years of fighting side by side. In his eyes, it was all worthless. I didn't struggle or cry. I just lowered my head slightly and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, "Fine, I'll go back with you." Shen Yuan smiled with satisfaction. "That's more like it. If you'd been this obedient from the start, you wouldn't have had to suffer these 3 years." He let go of my chin and turned to walk toward the car. When Meng Xingru passed by me, she deliberately bumped into me and whispered, "Sister Su, thank you for these 3 years of sacrifice. Now, Brother Yuan is mine, and Ankong Intelligence is mine too." I ignored her and quietly pressed the recording pen inside my watch. I had been wearing this watch before entering the academy. They thought it was just an ordinary digital watch, so they didn't confiscate it, but in fact it was custom-made, containing a tiny recording pen with a battery life of 5 years. Over these 3 years I had used it to record every insult and beating from the teachers. as well as everything Shen Yuan said each time he visited me. All of it was evidence of his illegal imprisonment. I followed Shen Yuan into the car. As the car drove off, the gloomy grey building in the rearview mirror grew smaller and smaller until it finally disappeared from sight. Watching the passing scenery outside the window, I lightly pressed the watch, stopping the recording. Shen Yuan, Meng Xingru, I will take back everything you owe me. Bit by bit, these 3 years of hell, I will make you pay back double. The car drove into a villa district in the city center and stopped in front of a detached villa. This was the house Shen Yuan and I had designed together, every corner filled with our memories. I once thought this would be our home for life, but now, standing at the entrance, I felt nothing but unfamiliarity. Shen Yuan got out first and Meng Xingru took his arm, pushing open the front door like she was the lady of the house. We're home, Brother Yuan, Meng Xingru said in a coquettish voice. I already had the housekeeper make your favorite sweet and sour ribs. Shen Yuan affectionately patted her head. You're always so thoughtful. The two of them walked in side by side. As if I were the one who didn't belong, I stood at the door, took a deep breath, and walked inside. The decor in the living room had completely changed. The minimalist style I loved had been replaced by Meng Xingru's pink princess aesthetic. Our photos on the wall had been taken down and replaced with Meng Xingru's artistic portraits. The greenery I had planted with my own hands had been swapped for plastic flowers. There was no trace of me left anywhere in the house. Sister Sue, make yourself at home. Meng Xingru sat on the sofa, picked up an apple and took a bite. Treat this place like your own home, don't be shy. Her tone was that of a hostess. Shen Yuan sat beside her, picked up the remote control and turned on the TV without looking up. Your room is the guest room at the far end of the second floor. I've already let Xingru stay in the master bedroom. My heart sank. The master bedroom was designed by me personally, every piece of furniture carefully chosen. We had once agreed that after we got married, we would live in that room. Now, he had actually let Meng Xingru move into our bridal suite. I said nothing and turned to walk upstairs. When I reached the master bedroom door, I couldn't resist pushing it open and taking a look. The setup inside had completely changed. My clothes, shoes, and cosmetics were all gone. In their place were Meng Xingru's things. On the wall hung intimate photos of her and Shen Yuan. The bed was covered with her favorite pink sheets. On the nightstand lay a white wedding dress. That was the dress Shen Yuan and I had custom-made together, originally meant for our wedding day. Meng Xingru had followed me at some point and was leaning against the doorframe, saying smugly, "This wedding dress is really beautiful, don't you think?" Brother Yuan said that when we get married, he wants me to wear this. She picked up the dress and held it against herself. Sister Sue, do you think I look good in this? Oh right, I forgot this dress was originally yours. But don't worry, Brother Yuan said you wouldn't look good in it anyway. Only I do. I looked at the wedding dress, my heart aching as if pierced by needles, but my face showed no expression. I simply said calmly, "It's just a dress. If you like it, take it." With that, I turned and walked toward the farthest guest room. The guest room was small, with only a bed and a wardrobe. It was empty, with nothing inside. "Sorry to put you in here, Sister Sue," Meng Xingru said hypocritically. "If only you hadn't been so foolish before. If you had just obeyed Brother Yuan, you'd be the one in the master bedroom now." I ignored her and closed the door. Leaning against the door panel, I finally couldn't hold back any longer. My whole body trembled, but I didn't cry. My tears had dried up 3 years ago when I was sent into that hell. Now all I had left was hatred. I walked to the window, pulled open the curtains, and glanced at the yard outside. After confirming no one was around, I took a tiny USB drive from my hair and hid it in my shoe sole. Old Jew had secretly given me that USB drive. He was a founding employee of Ankong Intelligence and had watched Shen Yuan and me start the business together. He had always sympathized with my situation. Last time Shen Yuan visited me, Old Jew followed him secretly and, when no one was looking, slipped me the USB drive. On the drive were Ankong Intelligence's financial statements from the past 3 years, along with preliminary evidence of Shen Yuan transferring my shares. After hiding the USB drive, I left the guest room and walked toward the study. The study was where I had spent the most time. All my design drafts, patent certificates, and share agreements were kept in the safe there. I had to take those things before Shen Yuan noticed. When I reached the study door, I saw it was open. Shen Yuan was inside, rummaging through something. Seeing me come in, he looked up and frowned. "What are you doing in here?" "I'm here to get my things," I said. "Your things?" Shen Yuan sneered. "Everything here is mine, there's nothing of yours here." He picked up a thick stack of handwritten drafts and threw them at my feet. "You're here for these, aren't you? Let me tell you, these useless scraps of paper, I've been wanting to throw them away for a long time." Those were algorithm drafts I had stayed up countless sleepless nights writing, each page embodying my hard work and dedication. Now he was throwing them on the ground like worthless trash. I crouched down and picked them up one by one. "Shen Yuan, these are mine," I said calmly. "Yours." Shen Yuan walked over to me and stepped on my hand. "Su Yanzi, let me tell you something, everyone around you belongs to me, so naturally everything you own is mine as well. I'm giving you 3 days to hand over the source code of the core algorithm, otherwise I'll send you back to that place again." He pressed down hard and the pain in my hand was unbearable. I clenched my teeth and didn't cry out in pain. I just looked up at him and said, "What if I refuse?" "Refuse?" Shen Yuan sneered. "Then you'll stay in that place for the rest of your life with no chance of ever getting out. I mean what I say." With that he lifted his foot, turned around and walked out of the study. I watched his retreating figure, my eyes cold. I picked up the last piece of manuscript and put it into my bag. Then I walked over to the safe, entered the password and opened it. The patent certificates and equity agreements were still inside. Shen Yuan was greedy, but he didn't understand technology. He had no idea how important these things were. He thought that as long as he got the source code, he could have everything. He was wrong. The patent for the core algorithm is in my name personally, without my authorization. Even if he got the source code, he couldn't use it for commercial purposes. I put the patent certificates and equity agreements into my bag and walked out of the study. Back in the guest room, I hid the items, then I took out a tube of toothpaste from my bag, unscrewed the cap, and pulled out it was the size of a matchbox hidden inside the toothpaste, and could only send texts and make calls. I found Lucian's number and sent an encrypted text. "I'm out, Ankong, same place as before. Lucian is my college classmate and the president of another domestic automation company. We were close in school and he always had feelings for me. But back then, my heart belonged only to Shen Yuan, so I rejected him 3 years ago, right before I was sent to the Women's Virtue Academy. I sent him a distress text, but by the time he got the message and rushed over, I had already been taken away. I knew he must have been looking for me all these 3 years. Less than a minute after I sent the text, I received a reply. "Okay, tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'll be waiting for you." I deleted the text and hid the phone back inside the toothpaste. Then I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. "Shen Yuan, Meng Xingru, your good days are numbered." The next morning, I was woken up by the sound of voices downstairs. I walked out of the guest room and saw Shen Yuan and Meng Xingru having breakfast. Meng Xingru was wearing my silk robe, sitting on Shen Yuan's lap, feeding him breakfast. When she saw me come down, she deliberately said loudly, "Yuan, feed me." Shen Yuan smiled and fed her a spoonful of kanji, saying dotingly, "All right, let me feed my darling." The two of them carried on with their intimacy as if no one else was there, treating me like I was invisible. I ignored them and walked straight toward the door. "Stop right there," Shen Yuan called out to me. "Where are you going?" "To the company," I said. "What for?" Shen Yuan put Meng Xingru down and stood up. "I already told you, you don't need to go to the company, just stay at home and write the source code. I'm the company's CTO, I have to go to the company," I said. "CTO," Shen Yuan sneered. "As of today you're not. I've appointed Xingru as the new CTO. From now on, she will be in charge of all technical aspects of the company." I was stunned. I hadn't expected him to go this far, appointing someone who didn't even know how to write code as CTO. "Shen Yuan, are you insane?" I said. "Meng Xingru doesn't even know C. How can she be CTO? Do you want Ankong Intelligence to go bankrupt?" "Shut up," Shen Yuan barked. "Xingru is far smarter than you. She'll do a great job if you know what's good for you. You'll obediently become her assistant and support her. Otherwise, you know the consequences." Meng Xingru looked at me triumphantly. "Sister Su, don't worry, I'll definitely do better than you. From now on, follow me and learn how to be a gentle and capable woman." I looked at the two of them and found it utterly ridiculous. "I won't be her assistant," I said calmly. "Either let me continue as CTO or I resign." "Resign?" Shen Yuan sneered. "Su Yanzi, don't forget you still hold 35% of the company's shares. If you dare resign, I'll call a shareholder meeting and revoke your shareholder status." "Go ahead and try," I said. "Without my algorithm authorization, all the company's production lines will shut down. Then the company will go under on its own. No need for me to resign." Shin Yuan's expression shifted. He knew I was telling the truth. All of Ankong Intelligence's industrial robots ran on my core algorithms. Without my authorization, those robots were just piles of scrap metal. Are you threatening me? Shin Yuan said, his face dark. I'm not threatening you, I'm telling you the facts. I said, either let me return to the company or we all go down together. Shin Yuan stared at me for a long time, then gritted his teeth and said, fine, I'll let you come back, but you have to listen to Xingru. Whatever she tells you to do, you do it. Deal. I said I didn't actually want to go back, I just wanted to retrieve what was mine and gather more evidence of Shin Yuan's crimes. After breakfast I followed Shin Yuan and Meng Xingru to the headquarters of Ankong Intelligence. I hadn't been there in 3 years. The company had changed a lot, it had moved into a new office building, and there were many more employees, but many of the old-timers looked at me with surprise when they saw me. They had all believed what Shin Yuan said, that I had gone abroad for psychiatric treatment. I smiled and nodded at them, then walked straight toward my office, but when I reached the door, I found it open. Meng Xingru was sitting in my office chair directing a few employees to move things around. My belongings had been tossed on the floor, papers scattered everywhere. What are you doing? I said sharply. The employees stopped and looked at me awkwardly. Meng Xingru looked up and said smugly, Sister Su, you're here. I'm tidying up my office from now on. This is mine. This is my office. I said. Not anymore, Meng Xingru said. Brother Yuan has already said I'm the CTO, so this office naturally belongs to me. Your spot is out at the shared workstation, go find it yourself. She picked up my work badge, tore it in half with a ripping sound, and threw it on the floor. Oh, and by the way, Meng Xingru added with a smile, your badge is useless now too. From now on you will be my assistant and I will make you a new one. The surrounding employees watched the scene in silence. Shin Yuan walked over, put his arm around Meng Xingru's shoulder and said coldly to me, Xingru is right, from now on this will be her office. Pack up your things and get out of the way. I looked at the shredded work ID on the ground, then at the smug faces of Shin Yuan and Meng Xingru. The anger inside me finally reached its limit, but I didn't lash out. Calmly, I took out my phone and opened the algorithmic authorization backend of Ankong Intelligence. I was the only one with access to this backend. 3 years ago, before I left, I had deliberately set up a remote authorization switch. The moment I pressed it, every robot using my algorithm would immediately stop functioning. I looked at Shin Yuan and said word by word, Shin Yuan, I'll ask you one last time, whose office is this? Of course it's mine. Meng Xingru cut in. Su Yanxi, don't be shameless, get out now. Shin Yuan nodded as well. Xingru is right, hurry up and pack your things. I said nothing more, I just pressed the stop authorization button on my phone screen. A few seconds later, the entire building plunged into darkness, all the computers went black and the elevators stopped. From the production workshop downstairs came shouts of alarm. What's going on? Shin Yuan's face turned pale as he called the technical department. Hello, why is there a power outage? Go check it immediately. Mr. Shin, it's not a power outage. The technical manager's panicked voice came through the phone. All the robots have stopped running, the system has crashed too. We checked, the algorithm authorization has been revoked. Shin Yuan snapped his head toward me, his eyes filled with disbelief. You did this? I put away my phone and said calmly, yes I did, I told you long ago. Without me, Ankong Intelligence is nothing but scrap metal. Su Yanxi, are you insane? Shin Yuan roared. Restore the authorization right now or I'll make you pay. Make me pay. I sneered. How exactly? By sending me back to that women's virtue academy. Shin Yuan, let me tell you, I'm not the same Su Yanxi from 3 years ago who let you push me around, pointing at the shredded work ID on the ground. I said deliberately, today you will apologize to me, and you will make Meng Xingru get out of my office, otherwise, the authorization will never be restored. The surrounding employees were stunned. They had never expected the usually docile President Su to be so firm. Shin Yuan's face shifted between pale and red. He knew that if the production lines remained down, the company would suffer huge losses. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, fine, I apologize, I'm sorry. Xingru, let's go. Meng Xingru protested unwillingly. Yuan Ge, let's go. Shin Yuan barked, pulling her out of the office. Watching their retreating, humiliated figures, I felt no satisfaction. This was only the beginning. I walked to my desk and picked up the scattered documents from the floor. Old Ju came in, handed me a glass of water, and said quietly, President Su, you're finally back, we've all been waiting for you. I looked at old Ju and nodded. Thank you, old Jew. No need to thank me, he said. Shen Yuan has gone too far. We old-timers have long been disgusted with him. Don't worry, President Su, we're all with you. A warmth spread through my heart. At least not everyone had betrayed me. I took a deep breath and pressed the restore authorization button on my phone. Seconds later, the building's power was back, and the systems returned to normal. Cheers erupted from downstairs. I sat in my office chair, gazing at the cityscape outside the window. Shen Yuan, you wait. Little by little, I will take back everything you stole from me. At 3 p.m. I arrived on time at the usual place where Lu Zian and I used to meet. It was a cafe near our university where we often discussed technical issues back in the day. After 3 years away, the cave had changed much. The familiar decor and ambience remained. I found a seat by the window. Before long, Lu Zian arrived. He was dressed in a grey suit, looking more mature and composed than he had 3 years ago. His eyes lit up when he saw me and he walked over quickly. Yanxi, he said, his voice trembling slightly as he stood before me. I looked up at him and smiled. Zian, long time no see. He sat down across from me, studying me intently with a gaze full of concern. Yanxi, you've been through so much. These past 3 years I've searched everywhere for you but couldn't find you. I know, I replied. Thank you for never giving up on finding me. You're right, it's only proper, Lu Zian said. Back then when I received your distress message and rushed over, you had already been taken away. I asked Shui Yujin where you had gone and he said you had developed a mental illness and been sent abroad by your family for treatment. I didn't believe him. I kept looking for you. It wasn't until I got your text yesterday that I realized he had locked you up in that kind of place. His fists were clenched tightly, his eyes filled with rage. Shui Yujin is a bastard. I will make him pay. Neither will I let him off, I said calmly. The reason I came to you this time is to ask for your help. Just say the word. If it's within my power, I'll do it. Lu Zian said. I took out the patent certificate and equity agreement from my bag and placed them on the table. This is the patent certificate for the core algorithm along with my equity agreement in Ankong Intelligence. Shui Yujin is trying to seize my algorithm and shares. I need a good legal team to help me fight this in court. Lu Zian picked up the documents, examined them carefully and nodded. No problem, my legal team is the best in the country for intellectual property cases. I'll have them give you their full support. Thank you, I said. Don't mention it, Lu Zian said with a smile. Oh, and one more thing. Over these 3 years, Shui Yujin has been secretly transferring your shares through various means. He has moved 10% of your 35% stake into his own name. My heart skipped a beat. What? How dare he? He forged your signature and bribed people at the notary office, Lu Zian said. But don't worry, it's all illegal. Once we present the evidence, we can get those shares back. I breathed a sigh of relief. That's good, and there's more, Lu Zian continued. To win Meng Xingro's favor, Shui Yujin embezzled 50 million yuan from the company to buy her a villa and a sports car. That money was corporate funds. I let out a cold laugh. Just as I thought, all Meng Xingru cared about was Shui Yujin's money. Do you have the evidence for that? I asked. I've already had the lawyers look into it, Lu Zian said. We should have the bank statements and transfer records soon. Perfect, I said. With this evidence I can not only get my shares back but also hold Shui Yujin legally accountable. Lu Zian nodded. Yanxi, don't worry, I will help you get justice. Just then my phone rang. It was Lao Ju. I answered. Hello, Lao Ju. President Su, it's bad. Lao Ju's voice was urgent. Shui Yujin is holding an emergency meeting. He says you deliberately sabotaged the company's production and wants to fire you and strip you of your shareholder rights. I sneered inwardly. Shui Yujin moved fast. I understand, I said. I'll be right there. After hanging up, I said to Lu Zian, Shui Yujin is trying to fire me and revoke my shareholder rights. I need to get back to the company. I'll go with you, Lu Zian said. No need. I shook my head. I can handle this myself. Just prepare the legal letter and send it to Shui Yujin first thing tomorrow morning. Be careful, Lu Zian said worriedly. Shui Yujin is capable of anything. I know, I said with a smile. I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. He can't hurt me anymore. With that I picked up my bag and stood. I have to go. Keep in touch by phone. Lu Zian nodded. Alright, call me anytime. I walked out of the cafe, got in my car and headed toward Ankong Intelligence's headquarters. Along the way, I kept thinking about what trick Shui Yujin might pull this time, but I wasn't afraid. I had plenty of evidence and plenty of confidence. This time I would not let him push me around. I would make him regret crossing me. Back at the company, the emergency meeting had already begun. I pushed open the door to the conference room and walked in. Everyone looked at me. Shen Yuan sat at the head of the table, his face dark with displeasure. Meng Xingru sat beside him, looking at me smugly. Su Yanci, you still dare to show up, Shen Yuan said sternly. You deliberately revoked the algorithm authorization, causing the company to halt production for 2 hours and lose tens of millions. I now formally announce that you are removed from all positions in the company and your shareholder qualifications are revoked. On what grounds? I said calmly. I am a co-founder of the company holding 35% of its shares. You have no right to fire me, let alone revoke my shareholder status. On the grounds that you deliberately sabotaged the company's production, Shen Yuan said. I've already had the lawyers prepare the documents and we will file a lawsuit against you immediately demanding compensation for all the company's losses. Sue me, I sneered. Fine, as it happens, I've also had my lawyer prepare a legal letter which will be sent to you first thing tomorrow morning. I'm suing you for false imprisonment, commercial infringement, and embezzlement of public funds. Shen Yuan's expression shifted slightly. What nonsense are you talking about? When have I ever falsely imprisoned you? 3 years ago, you forcibly sent me to Mingda Women's Academy and locked me up there for 3 years. If that's not false imprisonment, what is? I said, I have enough evidence to prove that you were the mastermind behind it. A flicker of panic flashed in Shen Yuan's eyes, but he quickly regained his composure. Don't make false accusations against me. You went there voluntarily. I did it to help you get treatment. Treatment? I laughed. I'm not sick. It was your first love who said I'm too dominant, not womanly enough, and that's why you locked me up. Shen Yuan, do you dare to repeat in front of everyone what Meng Xingru said? Meng Xingru's face went pale instantly. You're lying. I never said that. You never said that. I took out my phone and pressed play. From it came Meng Xingru's sweet, coquettish voice. Brother Yuan, Sister Sue is so amazing. She's even more capable than you. Aren't you afraid she'll one day walk all over you? Women are better off being gentle. Being too aggressive will bring bad luck to their husbands. Then came Shen Yuan's voice. Don't worry, I'll discipline her properly. Once I grind down her sharp edges, she'll obediently listen. After the recording ended, the conference room fell dead silent. Everyone was stunned. They couldn't believe that Shen Yuan had actually locked up Sue for 3 years just because of one remark from Meng Xingru. Shen Yuan's face turned as pale as paper. He shot up and roared at me. You actually dared to record this, Su Yanci, you bitch. If I hadn't recorded it, how could I have let everyone see your true colors? I said coldly. Just then old Ju stood up. I can testify that everything Sue said is true. 3 years ago I saw with my own eyes Shen forcing Sue into a car. Several other longtime employees also stood up. We can testify too. Shen Yuan looked at the employees turning against him, shaking with rage. Are all of you rebelling? No one answered him. I looked at Shen Yuan and said word by word, Shen Yuan, as of today, I officially resign from Ankong Intelligence. I will take back everything that belongs to me through legal means. Expect the court summons. With that, I turned and walked out of the conference room. Stepping out of the company building, the sunlight fell warmly on me. I took a deep breath and felt a huge weight lift. The 3-year shackles had finally been broken. Now it was time to strike back. 1 week later, the International Industrial Robot Summit was held in Shanghai. This is the highest-level conference in China's industrial robotics industry, attracting companies and experts from around the world every year. Ankong Intelligence, as the industry leader, naturally attended. Shen Yuan even secured a keynote speech slot, planning to have Meng Xingru present it to build her image as a talented woman. I also attended the summit with my team. I had already started my own company called Yankong Technology. This summit was our first public appearance. On the day of the summit, the venue was packed. Shen Yuan and Meng Xingru sat in the front row. Meng Xingru was dressed in designer clothes, a smug smile on her face. When it was Ankong's turn to present, Meng Xingru nervously made her way to the stage. She held a speech script written by Shen Yuan's technical department. Distinguished leaders, experts, hello, she said in a small, trembling voice. I am Meng Xingru, Chief Technology Officer of Ankong Intelligence. Today, I will share our company's latest 6-axis robot motion control algorithm. She opened a PowerPoint and began reading from the script. The slides contained technical documents I had written years ago. She stumbled over many terms, mispronouncing quite a few. Experts in the audience frowned. Finally, she finished. The host stepped onto the stage and smiled. "Thank you, Designer Meng, for your wonderful presentation. Next is the Q&A session. Please raise your hands if you have questions." Hands shot up immediately. The first question came from Professor Wang of Tsinghua University. "Hello, Designer Meng, I'd like to ask, what method does your algorithm use to handle singularities, and how do you prevent robot jitter near singular points?" Meng Xingruo's face changed dramatically. She had no idea what a singularity was. She stammered, "Well, that's a core technology of our team, and we can't disclose it." The audience erupted in murmurs. Singularity handling is the most fundamental issue in robot motion control. If she didn't even know that, how could she dare call herself a chief technology officer? The second question came from the technical director of SAIC Group. "Designer Meng, I'd like to ask, what is the repeated positioning accuracy of your algorithm? What is the response time?" Meng Xingru became even more flustered. "Well, I'm not really sure about that. It's all handled by the engineers below." The murmuring from the audience grew louder. "She doesn't know anything, yet she dares to be CTO. Isn't this too ridiculous? Is there no one left at Ankong Intelligence? How could they let someone like her be CTO?" Shen Yuan sat in the audience, his face ashen. He hadn't expected Meng Xingru to be so disappointing. Just then I raised my hand. Everyone looked at me. Seeing my raised hand, Meng Xingruo's face turned even paler. "Designer Su Yancy, do you have a question?" the host said. I stood up, looked at Meng Xingru on stage, and said calmly, "Designer Meng, the algorithm you just talked about was proposed in a paper I published in 2019. The paper number is CN1098778996A. If you don't even know the source of the content you were presenting, how can you claim it's your company's latest technology?" The whole audience erupted. "What, so it's Designer Su's paper? No wonder it sounded so familiar. So it was copied." Meng Xingru stood on stage, trembling all over, unable to utter a word. I continued, "Moreover, I want to announce something else. All the robots produced by Ankong Intelligence use my core algorithms. As of now, I have formally withdrawn all authorizations granted to Ankong Intelligence. From today onward, every robot produced by Ankong Intelligence is an infringing product." This sentence landed like a bomb, causing an uproar in the venue. All the partners panicked. If Ankong Intelligence's products were infringing, then their orders would be void, and they would also face legal liability. Shen Yuan abruptly stood up and roared, "Su Yancy, stop talking nonsense here. The algorithms belong to the company, not you. Whether they're mine or not will be decided by the court." I took out my patent certificate and held it up for everyone to see. This is the patent certificate issued by the National Intellectual Property Administration. The patent holder is me, Su Yancy, President Shen. If you don't believe me, you can check it yourself. Shen Yuan looked at the patent certificate, speechless. Just then, representatives from several partner companies stood up. "President Shen, I'm sorry. We cannot cooperate with a company that infringes on patents. I hereby announce the termination of all cooperation with Ankong Intelligence. Our company is terminating cooperation as well, so is ours." In a short time, 12 partner companies announced the cancellation of their contracts with Ankong Intelligence on the spot. Watching this scene, Shen Yuan saw black, nearly fainting to the ground. Meng Xingru could no longer hold back, crying as she ran off the stage. I watched their humiliating state, feeling no ripples in my heart. They deserved it. I picked up my bag and walked out of the venue with my team. As I reached the door, Lu Zian was waiting for me. He smiled and extended his hand. "President Su, congratulations on your first victory." I took his hand and smiled back. "Thank you, this is only the beginning." The sunlight fell warmly upon us. I knew that my era had finally arrived. After the summit ended, Ankong Intelligence's reputation plummeted. The collective contract cancellations by 12 partner companies cost Ankong Intelligence orders worth over $1 billion. The banks also caught wind of the situation and demanded early repayment of a 300 million yuan loan. If Ankong Intelligence failed to repay on time, the banks would auction off its mortgaged assets. Shen Yuan was overwhelmed, trying to appease the remaining partners while scrambling to raise funds, but the harder he struggled, the worse the situation became. With no other options left, Shen Yuan sued me in court. He sued me for infringing on the company's intellectual property. demanding that the court rule the patent for the core algorithm belongs to Ankong Intelligence and that I pay him 100 million yuan in economic damages. When I received the court summons, I was discussing the new company's development plans with Lu Zian. Shen Yuan has lost his mind. Lu Zian looked at the summons and sneered. He's clearly the one infringing, and yet he dares to sue you. This is a desperate act, I said. He knows that if he can't get the patent, Ankong Intelligence is finished. So what do we do? Lu Zian asked. Fight the case, of course. I smiled and said, let the court serve as our notary and show everyone that the patent belongs to me. Lu Zian nodded. Good, I've already had the legal team prepare all the evidence. This time we are going to make Shen Yuan lose everything on the day of the court hearing. The entrance to the courthouse was packed with media reporters. Shen Yuan arrived at the courthouse early with his legal team. He was dressed in a black suit, his expression grim, looking much more haggard. Meng Xingru did not come. After embarrassing herself at the summit, she had been hiding at home, afraid to face anyone. Lu Zian and I walked into the courthouse together. Reporters rushed up, eager to interview me. Ms. Su, do you feel confident about this lawsuit? Ms. Su, what do you think the court's decision will be? Ms. Su, is there any possibility of a reconciliation between you and Shen Yuan? I stopped, looked into the camera and calmly said, I believe the law is just. The core algorithm took me 10 years to develop, so the patent right should rightfully belong to me. Shen Yuan's actions have not only infringed upon my legitimate rights and interests but also violated business ethics. As for reconciliation, impossible. There is nothing between him and me but hatred. With that, Lu Zian and I walked into the courtroom. After the trial began, Shen Yuan's lawyer spoke first. He claimed that the core algorithm was developed by me while working at Ankong Intelligence, making it a service invention, and that the patent right should belong to the company. He also stated that I had deliberately revoked authorization, causing significant financial losses to the company, and demanded that I compensate 100 million yuan. Then my lawyer, Attorney Chen, spoke on my behalf. He presented my research records from university, my graduation thesis, and the notification of acceptance for my patent application. All of this evidence proved that the core technology of the algorithm had already been developed before I joined Ankong Intelligence. Your Honor, Attorney Chen said, my client Su Yanxi began researching the motion control algorithm for 6-axis robots in 2015. In 2017, she completed the preliminary design of the core algorithm and published a related paper. In 2018, she co-founded Ankong Intelligence with Mr. Shen Yuan. That is to say, the core algorithm already existed before the company was established. Therefore, the algorithm does not qualify as a service invention, and the patent right should rightfully belong solely to Ms. Su Yanxi. Next, Attorney Chen presented the labor contract signed between me and Ankong Intelligence. The contract explicitly stated that the copyright and patent rights to my personal research results belonged to me personally. Ankong Intelligence held only the right to use them, not ownership. According to the labor contract signed by both parties, Attorney Chen said, Ankong Intelligence may only use the algorithm with written authorization from Ms. Su Yanxi. Now that Ms. Su Yanxi has revoked all authorizations, Ankong Intelligence's continued use of the algorithm constitutes infringement. We countersue Ankong Intelligence for patent infringement, demanding that they immediately cease the infringement and compensate for economic losses of 50 million yuan. Shen Yuan's lawyer tried to refute but could not produce any substantial evidence. Shen Yuan sat at the plaintiff's table, his expression growing increasingly grim. He hadn't expected that I had preserved so much evidence. The trial lasted 3 hours. Finally, the judge announced a recess, with the verdict to be delivered on another date. As we walked out of the courthouse, Shen Yuan blocked my way. Su Yanxi, so what if you won? He said viciously. Even if the patent is yours, without Ankong Intelligence's production platform, you'll never bring the product to market. Is that so? I smiled. Mr. Shen, you forgot I have already established my own company, and yesterday I signed cooperation agreements with 15 companies, including SAIC and BYD. Their orders are enough to keep us in production for 3 years. Shen Yuan's face paled instantly. What, impossible? Why would they cooperate with you? Because they trust my technology, I said, unlike some people who only know how to steal others' achievements and even lock Them away, Mr. Shin, just wait for the court's ruling. It won't be long before Ankong intelligence disappears completely. With that, Lu Zian and I got into the car, watching Shen Yuan stand there looking utterly lost. I felt no sympathy whatsoever. He had brought it all upon himself. A week later, the court reconvened. The judge delivered the verdict in court. This court finds that the plaintiff, Ankong Intelligence Technology Group, has insufficient evidence to support its claim that the core algorithm for 6-axis robots is a service invention, and thus the claim is rejected. The evidence submitted by the defendant Ms. Su Yanxi is sufficient to prove that the algorithm is her personal research achievement. In accordance with Articles 6 and 8 of the Patent Law of the People's Republic of China, the judgment is as follows: all claims of the plaintiff, Ankong Intelligence Technology Group, are dismissed. Meanwhile, the plaintiff, Ankong Intelligent Technology Group, must immediately cease using all patented technologies belonging to the defendant Ms. Su Yanxi, and compensate the defendant for economic losses amounting to 30 million yuan. The court costs shall be borne by the plaintiff. The moment the verdict was announced, I breathed a sigh of relief. Lu Zian patted me on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Yanxi, we won." Reporters swarmed around and took photos of me. Ms. Su, congratulations on winning the case. Ms. Su, what are your plans for the future? I looked into the camera and said with a smile, next, I will focus on the development of Yankong technology. We will develop more and better industrial robot products to contribute to the upgrading of China's manufacturing industry. At the same time, I will continue to pursue Mr. Shen Yuan's legal responsibility for false imprisonment. After saying this, Lu Zian and I walked out of the courthouse. The sunlight fell on me, warm and cozy. I looked up at the sky, blue skies, white clouds, and endless sunshine. 3 years of grievance and dissatisfaction finally vanished at that moment. Shen Yuan, you lost, and this is only the beginning. Next, I will make you pay a heavy price for what you did 3 years ago. After the court's judgment, Ankong Intelligent was completely driven into a dead end. They could no longer use my algorithms, and all their production lines came to a halt. The robots that had already been produced could not be sold and could only be left piled up in the warehouse. Banks applied to the court for compulsory enforcement and auctioned off most of Ankong Intelligence assets. Employees resigned one after another, leaving fewer than 20 people in the company. With no way out, Shen Yuan grew desperate and began acting recklessly. He bribed numerous self-media outlets to spread rumors about me online. They claimed I was mentally unstable, repaying kindness with enmity, and had taken over Shen Yuan's company. They said I was bullied at the Women's Virtue Academy, became psychologically distorted, and was now seeking revenge against society. Meng Xingru also started a live stream, sobbing and accusing me of bullying her, stealing her fiancé, and using improper means to win the lawsuit. Everyone has been deceived by Su Yanxi. Meng Xingru sobbed beautifully in front of the camera. She is not a victim at all. It was out of jealousy that Yangan and I got together that she deliberately framed him. She often fought and was disciplined by teachers at the Women's Moral Academy, which is why she holds a grudge. Everyone don't believe her words. Her live stream quickly went viral on the trending searches. Many netizens who didn't know the truth started ganging up on me online. Su Yanxi is so vicious, to frame her own childhood friend like that. Exactly, Mr. Shen treated her so well, yet she repaid his kindness with evil. This woman is terrifying. Her mind is twisted. Boycott Yankong technology, boycott Su Yanxi's products. Every day some incited netizens come to cause trouble at the entrance of my company. They hold up signs, chant slogans, and demand that I get out of the industrial robotics industry. Someone even splashed paint and threw eggs at the company's main gate. The employees were furious and wanted to confront them, but I stopped them. Don't bother with them, I said. The innocent remain innocent and the guilty will be known soon enough. In fact, I had long anticipated that Shen Yuan would pull something like this, so I had prepared evidence to strike back in advance. I exported 3 years' worth of recordings from my watch. These included conversations where Shen Yuan admitted to unlawfully detaining me, along with recordings of the teachers at the Female Virtue Academy insulting and beating me. I also found several other girls who had been locked up with me at the academy. They were willing to come forward and testify about the true conditions at the academy, and about how Shen Yuan had forcibly sent me there. Once everything was ready, I held a press conference. On the day of the conference, many media reporters came. A number of Incited netizens also showed up ready to cause trouble. I walked up to the podium in a black professional suit. Immediately boos erupted from the audience. Su Yanci, you liar, get out, apologized to Mr. Shun and Miss Meng. Ignoring the boos, I said calmly, friends from the media, fellow netizens, hello. Today I've called this press conference to clarify the rumors about me online. At the same time, I want to reveal the true face of Mingda Female Virtue Academy and expose what Mr. Shen Yuan has done. After speaking, I signaled the staff to play the recordings first. They played the recording of the academy's teachers insulting and beating me. Su Yanci, kneel down, you shameless woman, how dare you defy a man? Beat her hard until she obeys. The recording contained the teacher's insults. Along with my screams and crying, the boos from the audience vanished instantly. Everyone was stunned, even the incited netizens fell silent. Next, I played the recording of Shen Yuan visiting me. Su Yanci, have you come to your senses yet? When will you hand over the source code? As long as you behave, I'll let you out, otherwise you'll stay here for life. Meng Xingru is so much better than you, she's gentle and obedient. Once I get the source code, I'll marry her. After the recording ended, the entire room fell into dead silence. After a long while, a reporter stood up and asked, Ms. Su, are these recordings authentic? They are all genuine, I said. I recorded them with a miniature microphone hidden in my watch. The time, place, and people involved are all clear. If anyone doubts them, you can request Vorisprint verification. Then I invited several girls who had been imprisoned with me at the academy to come forward. One by one, they walked to the podium and recounted their experiences at the Female Virtue Academy, being beaten, starved, forced to memorize the *Nuji*, female precepts, and locked in dark rooms for any sign of resistance. My parents sent me there because they said I was too rebellious and disobedient, one girl said tearfully. I stayed there for a year, living in fear every day. If the police hadn't shut down the academy, I might never have gotten out. Me too, said another. Mingda Female Virtue Academy isn't any kind of educational institution, it's a living hell. They claim to reform women, but they're really just after money, and they often abuse the students. The reporters below were outraged. How terrible, how could such a place exist? Shen Yuan is inhuman, sending his own childhood sweetheart to a place like that. Meng Xingru is no better, lying through her teeth on her livestream. The incited netizens lowered their heads in shame. We're sorry, Ms. Su, we were wrong about you. One netizen said, standing up. It's okay, I said with a smile, as long as everyone knows the truth. Then, I took out another recording. This recording is a phone conversation between Meng Xingru and her best friend. That Su Yanchen is such an idiot, locked away for 3 years, and she still thinks Shen Yuan will marry her. Exactly, Shen Yuan never loved her, he only wanted her skills. Once he gets them, he'll dump her. Once I marry Shen Yuan, I'll be the boss's wife of Ankong Intelligence. Then I can buy whatever I want. After the recording ended, the entire audience erupted in uproar. It turned out that Meng Xingru was never some pure, unattainable love, she was just a money-grubbing gold digger. Just then my phone rang. It was Zhao Kai. Zhao Kai is Shen Yuan's special assistant who was fully involved in sending me to the Women's Virtue Academy. I answered and put the call on speaker. President Su, this is Zhao Kai, he said urgently. I want to turn myself in. Shen Yuan had me bribe social media to spread rumors about you and also had me set your company on fire. I don't want to help him do bad things anymore. I have all the evidence of his crimes and I'm handing it over to you. The audience erupted again. Shen Yuan even tried to burn down my company. I looked into the camera and said, word by word, Shen Yuan, your actions have broken the law. I have already reported this to the police. I believe you will soon face the punishment you deserve. After the press conference ended, public opinion shifted instantly. Netizens began cursing Shen Yuan and Meng Xingru. Shen Yuan is inhuman, he must be severely punished. Meng Xingru, that gold digger, is disgusting. Support President Su, hold them legally accountable. The Mingda Women's Academy was also thrust into the spotlight. The police quickly shut down the academy and arrested all the teachers and administrators. Meng Xingru's livestream account was banned, and she became a pariah. Shen Yuan's reputation was completely ruined. No one wanted to cooperate with him or help him anymore. He was utterly alone. I looked at the online comments, feeling nothing. They deserved it. Next, it was time to wait for the law to deliver its judgment. The day after the press conference, Zhao Kai came to see me voluntarily. He was holding a USB drive and a thick stack of documents. "President Su, I'm sorry," Zhao Kai said, lowering his head guiltily. "I was wrong before. I shouldn't have helped Shen Yuan do those bad things. I know I made a mistake. I want to confess and seek leniency." I looked at him calmly and said, "Have a seat." Zhao Kai sat down and placed the USB drive and documents on the table. "President Su, these contain all of Shen Yuan's criminal evidence. It includes the complete plan for sending you to the Women's Virtue Academy, records of embezzled company funds, transfer records for bribing, social media and chat logs about his plan to burn down your company." I picked up the USB drive and handed it to my lawyer. "Check this." The lawyer took it to a nearby computer to examine. After a while, he returned and nodded at me. "President Su, it's all real. The evidence is very solid." I breathed a sigh of relief. With this evidence, Shen Yuan had no way out. "Thank you, Zhao Kai," I said. "Coming forward on your own shows you still have a conscience." "President Su, I was forced into it," Zhao Kai said. "I have a family to support, children and elderly parents. Shen Yuan threatened my family, so I dared not disobey him. For these 3 years, I've lived with guilt every day. Seeing how he mistreated you broke my heart, but I couldn't resist." "I understand," I said. "Don't worry. I'll speak to the judge on your behalf to give you a chance to turn over a new leaf." "Thank you, President Su, thank you," Zhao Kai said excitedly. "Can you tell me why Shen Yuan was so determined to send me to the Women's Virtue Academy?" I asked. "Was it just because of something Meng Xingru said?" Zhao Kai hesitated for a moment, then said, "Actually, it wasn't all because of Meng Xingru. It was mainly about your shares and your skills." "What do you mean?" I asked. 3 years ago, Ankong Intelligence was preparing to raise funds, Zhao Kai said. "The investor proposed that you should be CEO because the company's core technology is in your hands. Shen Yuan was worried that you would take his president position, so he found a way to get rid of you. Just then, Meng Xingru came back and said those things, so he took the opportunity to send you to the Women's Virtue Academy. He originally planned, once he obtained your source code, to fake your suicide, so that all your shares would go to him." My heart sank. I hadn't expected Shen Yuan to be so ruthless. He didn't just want to take over my technology and shares, he wanted to kill me. "Is that really what he planned?" I asked. "It's true," Zhao Kai nodded. "I heard him say it to Meng Xingru with my own ears. He said that once he got the source code, he would inject you with an overdose of sedatives and make it look like suicide. That way, no one would suspect him." I clenched my fists tightly, my nails digging deep into my palms. So I had skirted the brink of death several times. If I hadn't kept refusing to hand over the source code, I would probably be dead already. "President Su, I'm sorry," Zhao Kai said guiltily. "I knew about this back then, but I didn't dare tell you. I was afraid he would harm my family." "I don't blame you," I said. "Thank you for telling me all this." "There's one more thing," Zhao Kai said. "Meng Xingru embezzled 50 million in cash from Shen Yuan and is planning to flee abroad. She bought a plane ticket to Canada yesterday for tomorrow morning." I gave a cold laugh. Meng Xingru truly is someone who forgets morality when profit is at stake. Seeing that Shen Yuan had lost his edge, she took the money and ran. "I understand," I said. "I'll notify the police." Then I picked up my phone, called Officer Lee, who was handling the case, and relayed what Zhao Kai had told me. "Okay, President Su, thank you for the lead," Officer Lee said. "We'll set up a net at the airport right away. There's no way Meng Xingru will escape." After hanging up, I said to Zhao Kai, "Let's go. I'll accompany you to the Public Security Bureau to turn yourself in." Zhao Kai nodded. "All right." Zhao Kai and I left the company together and drove toward the Public Security Bureau. On the way, I looked out the window at the scenery, a flood of emotions welling up inside me. 15 years of growing up together as childhood sweethearts, 7 years of fighting side by side. I once thought we were each other's most trusted person, but I never imagined he would treat me like this. For power and money, he could unhesitatingly send me to hell, even try to kill me. A person like that doesn't deserve my forgiveness at all. When we arrived at the Public Security Bureau, Zhao Kai voluntarily confessed everything. Based on the evidence he provided, the police officially opened a criminal investigation against Shen Yuan. The next morning, police successfully arrested Meng Xingru at the airport as she attempted to flee. After her arrest, Meng Xingru, seeking lenient treatment, voluntarily confessed to all of Shen Yuan's crimes, including embezzlement of public funds, false imprisonment, malicious false accusation, and more. Now all the evidence points to Shen Yuan. He can't escape. Even if he had wings, I stood by the office window looking down at the traffic below. Shen Yuan, your end has come. When Shen Yuan learned that both Meng Xingru and Zhao Kai had been arrested, he knew his situation was hopeless, but he wasn't willing to fail like this. He still had one last trump card: Ankong Intelligence's listing plan. 3 years ago, Ankong Intelligence had begun preparing to go public. The original plan was to officially list on the Star Market at the end of this year. If the listing succeeded, Shen Yuan could cash out billions and flee far away. To ensure a smooth listing, Shen Yuan had concealed all negative news about the company. He falsified financial statements, inflated revenue and profits, and bribed the sponsoring institution and accounting firm. He thought that as long as he could successfully list, he could take the money and run, evading legal punishment. But he didn't expect that I had long anticipated he would do this. I had my lawyer submit a whistleblower letter to the China Securities Regulatory Commission, attaching all the evidence of Shen Yuan's falsified financial statements and embezzlement of public funds. Upon receiving the letter, the CSRC launched an immediate investigation. They discovered that Ankong Smart's financial statements were severely fraudulent and that there were many undisclosed major lawsuits. Consequently, the CSRC officially suspended Ankong Smart's listing plan. This news was undoubtedly a bolt from the blue for Shen Yuan. The suspension of the listing plan meant the demise of his last shred of hope. He went completely insane. He vented all his resentment on me. He believed that I had destroyed everything for him. He began a frenzied campaign of revenge against me. He sent people to smash my car and mailed threatening letters to my home. On one occasion, he even tried to hit me with his car, but fortunately Lu Zian arrived just in time and saved me. Lu Zian was very worried about my safety and hired 2 bodyguards to protect me 24/7. Yanxi, this is too dangerous, Lu Zian said. Shen Yuan has gone mad. He's capable of anything. It's best you don't go out until the police catch him. No, I shook my head. The launch conference for Ankong Intelligence IPO is tomorrow. Shen Yuan will definitely make one last desperate struggle there. I have to be on site to expose his true colors. But it's too dangerous, Lu Zian said anxiously. Don't worry, I have bodyguards protecting me, I said with a smile. Besides, the police will also be stationed there. Shen Yuan wouldn't dare do much. Still uneasy, Lu Zian said. Then I'll go with you. All right, I nodded. The next day, the launch conference for Ankong Intelligence IPO was held at the International Convention and Exhibition Center. Although the CSRC had halted the listing plan, Shen Yuan went ahead with the conference anyway, hoping to salvage some reputation and see if a miracle might happen. Many media reporters showed up, but most were just there to watch the drama. Shen Yuan wore a wrinkled suit, his hair disheveled, looking haggard and worn out. Not a single senior executive stood by his side, only 2 security guards. The audience area was nearly empty, with few guests present. When Shen Yuan saw me and Lu Zian walk in, his eyes turned red instantly. He pointed at me and roared, Su Yanxi, you bitch. You ruined everything for me. I won't let you get away with this. The 2 bodyguards immediately stepped in front of me, watching Shen Yuan warily. Calmly, I said, Shen Yuan, I didn't ruin you. You ruined yourself. Your greed and selfishness destroyed Ankong Intelligent and yourself. You're lying, Shen Yuan screamed hysterically. It's all your fault. If you had just handed over the source code, if you had just done as I said, we would already be listed. Xingru and I would already be married. It's all you. You ruined everything. Even now, you still won't repent. I shook my head. Meng Xingru has been arrested. She confessed to everything. Zhao Kai also turned himself in. You're guilty of false imprisonment, embezzlement, malicious false accusation, and attempted murder. These charges are enough to keep you in prison for life. Shen Yuan's face turned deathly pale. He knew everything I said was true. Just then, several police officers stepped out from backstage. Shen Yuan, we're from the Municipal Public Security Bureau, the lead officer said, holding up an arrest warrant. You are suspected of false imprisonment, misappropriation of funds, malicious false accusation, and attempted murder. You are hereby lawfully arrested. Seeing the arrest warrant, Shen Yuan completely broke down. He lunged toward me, trying to take me down with him. But before he could reach me, the officers tackled him to the ground. Su Yanxi, I'll haunt you even as a ghost. Shen Yuan thrashed and roared as the officers handcuffed him and dragged him away. Watching his figure disappear, I felt no ripples in my heart. It was all over. 15 years of grievances had finally come to an end. Lu Ziyan gently took my hand and said softly. It's all in the past. I looked at him, nodded and smiled with relief. Yes, it's all in the past. From today on, I no longer have to live in the shadow of the past. I can start a new life. After Shen Yuan was arrested, the police interrogated him, confronted with irrefutable evidence. Shen Yuan confessed to all his crimes, but he refused to admit that he had ever wanted to kill me. It was only after the police presented Zhao Kai and Meng Xingru's testimonies along with his chat logs with Meng Xingru that he finally acknowledged it. It turned out that he had planned it all along. Once he got my source code, he would kill me. He had even bought poison and intended to inject me with an overdose of sedatives on the day I handed over the code, making it look like a suicide. I was having dinner with Lu Ziyan when I heard the news. My hand trembled violently and my chopsticks fell to the floor. Although I had long known he harbored such thoughts, hearing it confirmed by the police still sent a chill down my spine. Lu Ziyan picked up the chopsticks and handed me a new pair, saying with concern, "Don't dwell on it, it's all in the past. He's already gotten the punishment he deserves." I nodded, trying to calm myself. "I know," I said, "it's just that I feel a bit disheartened. 15 years of a relationship, and this is how it ends. He's not worth your sorrow," Lu Ziyan said. "You should look forward. You still have me, your company, and many people who care about you." I looked into Lu Ziyan's gentle eyes and felt a warmth in my heart. Yes, I am not alone. I have Lu Ziyan, my team, and my career. I should live well and stop being troubled by the past. Just then my phone rang. It was my best friend Lin Wn calling. Lin Wn is my closest friend and the only one who knows everything I've been through. For the past 3 years she has been looking for me and helping me. I answered the phone and said with a smile, "Wanwan, what's up?" "Yang Ci, it's bad." Lin Wan's voice was urgent. "I've been kidnapped. They said you have to come to the abandoned factory alone or they'll kill me." My heart leaped to my throat. "Wanwan, don't panic. Tell me, where are you?" "I don't know," Lin Wn cried. "They brought me to an abandoned factory, surrounded by rundown houses. Ah, don't hit me. I'll talk, Yang Ci. Come save me quickly." A series of shouts and beatings came from the phone, then the line went dead. I shot to my feet, my face pale as ash. "Oh no, Wanwan has been kidnapped. This must be Shen Yuan's remaining followers." Lu Ziyan also stood up, his expression grave. "Don't panic, let's call the police first." "No," I shook my head. "They said I have to go alone. If we call the police, they'll kill Wanwan." "Then you can't go alone either, it's too dangerous," Lu Ziyan said. "Wanwan was kidnapped because of me. I have to go save her," I said firmly. Lu Ziyan looked at me, knowing that once I had made up my mind, I wouldn't change it. "Fine, I'll go with you," Lu Ziyan said. "I'll have the bodyguards follow behind us, keeping a safe distance to protect us. At the same time, I'll notify the police to set up a perimeter. That way we won't alert the kidnappers and we can ensure our safety." I thought for a moment and nodded. "Okay, let's do it." We sprang into action immediately. Lu Ziyan notified the bodyguards and the police, then drove me toward the abandoned factory the kidnappers had specified. The abandoned factory was on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by desolate emptiness. The car stopped at the factory gate. I said to Lu Ziyan, "Wait for me here. I'll go in alone. If I'm not out in half an hour, you and the police charge in." "No, I'm going in with you," Lu Ziyan said. "No." I shook my head. "The kidnappers said I have to come alone. If they see you, they'll hurt Wanwan." Lu Ziyan looked at me, his eyes full of worry. "Then be very careful. Call me if anything happens." "I will," I nodded, pushed open the car door, and walked toward the factory. Inside it was pitch black, covered in dust and trash. The air reeked of pungent rust. I walked cautiously, calling out as I went, Wanwan, where are you?" "Yancy, I'm here." Lin Wan's voice came from deeper inside. I followed the sound and saw Lin Wn tied to a pillar, her mouth sealed with tape. Tears streaked her face and she looked terrified. "Wanwan, don't be afraid, I'm here to save you." I ran over to untie the ropes. Just then, someone stepped out from behind the pillar. It was Shen Yuan. I froze. "Shen Yuan, what are you doing here? Weren't you arrested by the police?" Shen Yuan sneered. "Those cops, you think they could hold me? I escaped long ago." It turned out that Shen Yuan had bribed the officers escorting him to the detention center and fled, knowing he had no way out. He kidnapped Lin Wn, intending to take me down with him. "Shen Yuan, let Wanwan go," I said calmly. "If you have a problem, take it out on me." "Take it out on you," Shen Yuan sneered. "Fine, just kneel and beg me and transfer all your patents and shares to me, then I'll let her go." "In your dreams," I said. "You won't agree." Shen Yuan pulled out a knife and held it to Lin Wan's neck, then, "I'll kill her, I'm done for anyway, so taking someone with me isn't bad." Lin Wen trembled with fear, tears streaming down her face. "Don't hurt her," I said urgently. "Fine, I agree, I'll transfer all my patents and shares to you, let her go." "That's more like it," Shen Yuan said smugly. "Sign the transfer agreement." He pulled a pre-prepared transfer agreement and a pen from his pocket and tossed them at my feet. I picked up the pen, looking at the agreement while thinking of a way out. Just then I heard sirens outside. Shen Yuan heard them too, his expression darkened. "You dared to call the police." He suddenly raised the knife and lunged at me. I dodged instinctively. At that moment Lu Zian rushed in with the police. "Shen Yuan, put down your weapon," the police shouted, raising their guns at him. Shen Yuan knew he had no escape. He grabbed Lin Wen, held the knife to her neck and roared at the police, "Stay back or I'll kill her." The scene descended into a stalemate. I looked at Shen Yuan and said calmly, "Shen Yuan, stop being so stubborn. There's no way out for you now. Let Wanwan go and surrender." "Surrender?" Shen Yuan sneered. "Even if I die, I'll take you all down with me." With that he pressed the blade down hard. At that critical moment, Lu Zian rushed forward and grabbed Shen Yuan's wrist. The police seized the opportunity to tackle Shen Yuan to the ground. The knife fell to the floor. I hurried over, untied the ropes binding Lin Wen and tore off the tape over her mouth. "Wanwan, are you okay?" I asked anxiously. "I'm fine." Lin Wen threw herself into my arms, crying, "Yanxi, I was so scared." "Don't be afraid, it's over." I patted her back, comforting her. The police handcuffed Shen Yuan and dragged him out. This time there would be no escape for him. Lu Zian came to my side and gently held me. "It's okay, everything's okay now." Leaning into his arms, I finally couldn't hold back my tears. All the fear and grievance burst out at that moment. Lu Zian patted my back softly and said tenderly, "Let it out, cry, and you'll feel better from now on. No one will ever hurt you again." After Shen Yuan was arrested again, the police subjected him to a severe interrogation. This time, there was no chance left for him to turn things around. The crimes of illegal detention, embezzlement of funds, false accusation, intentional homicide, and kidnapping, combined punishment for multiple offenses, meant that the severe penalty of the law awaited him. Angkong Intelligence, also insolvent, filed for bankruptcy. Liquidation with the court. Once a brilliant industry leader, it has now completely vanished. Meanwhile, my company, Yangkong Technology, has been growing stronger and stronger. We have signed many large orders and become a leading enterprise in the domestic industrial robotics industry. Many former employees of Angkong Intelligent have successively jumped ship to my company. Everything is moving in a positive direction. 3 months later, Yang Control Technology held its new product launch. We unveiled the latest generation of 6-axis industrial robots, which offered 50% better performance than Ang Control Intelligence's products while being 30% cheaper. On the day of the launch, many media reporters and partners showed up. The venue was packed. Wearing a white suit, I stepped onto the stage. Thunderous applause erupted from the audience. Looking at the crowd, I smiled and said, "Dear leaders and guests, good morning. Welcome to Yang Control Technology's new product launch. Today I am excited to present our company's newest development, the next generation 6-axis industrial robot, Yang Core 1. I opened my PPT and began introducing the performance and features of Yang Core 1. The audience listened attentively, occasionally gasping in amazement. After the product presentation, it was time for the Q&A session. A reporter stood up and asked, "Ms. Su, hello, we all know that you've been through many hardships. What has kept you going to this day?" I thought for a moment and said, "It's belief. I believe that justice will always prevail. I believe that as long as I don't give up, I will reclaim everything that belongs to me. Also, I must thank my family, friends, and employees who have always supported me. Without them, I wouldn't be where I am today." Another reporter stood up and asked, "Ms. Su, how do you feel about Shen Yuan now? Do you hate him?" I shook my head and said, "No hatred anymore. He has received the punishment he deserves. Let the past stay in the past. I just want to focus on my career, develop more and better products, and contribute to the advancement of China's manufacturing industry." Just then, the venue doors swung open. Shen Yuan appeared at the entrance. Because his attempted kidnapping case hasn't been tried yet, he was out on bail. He looked even more haggard, his hair completely white, his back hunched. Everyone turned to look at him and the venue fell silent. Shen Yuan walked toward me step by step, his eyes full of regret. Reaching me, he dropped to his knees with a thud. Yang Si, I'm sorry. Shen Yuan said tearfully. I know I was wrong, I truly know I was wrong. I shouldn't have sent you to that finishing school for girls, shouldn't have tried to kill you, shouldn't have kidnapped Lin Wn. I've wronged you, can you forgive me? Looking at Shen Yuan kneeling on the ground, I felt nothing. Shen Yuan, get up, I said. I won't forgive you, but I won't hate you anymore. What's between us ended long ago. No, Yang Si, you can't do this to me, Shen Yuan sobbed. We grew up together, 15 years, how can you just end it like that? I know I was wrong, I'll treat you well from now on. Please give me another chance, okay? A chance? I sneered. I've given you countless chances, you just didn't cherish them. Shen Yuan, you don't love me, you only love the benefits I can bring you. Now that I've succeeded, you want to come back to me. Don't you think it's too late? That's not true, Yang Si, I really love you, Shen Yuan said hurriedly. I was blinded before, fooled by Meng Xingru. Now I realize you're the only one who truly cares for me. Yang Si, can we start over? Impossible, I said, enunciating each word. I already have a boyfriend, we're getting married soon. Shen Yuan looked up sharply, staring at me in disbelief. What did you say? You're getting married? To whom? Just then Lu Xian walked onto the stage, gently took my hand, and said to Shen Yuan, to me. Shen Yuan looked at our clasped hands and completely broke down. No, impossible, he screamed. You're my woman, you can only marry me. Mr. Shen, please show some respect, Lu Xian said. Yang Si is now my fiancé. Please stop disturbing her life. I don't believe it. Shen Yuan stood up and tried to rush over to grab me. The security guards immediately rushed over and stopped him. Please escort him out, I said. The security guards took Shen Yuan by the arms and dragged him out of the venue. As he struggled, Shen Yuan shouted, Su Yanci, I won't give up, I will wait for you. Watching his back as he was taken away, I shook my head. Some people never learn to repent. Lu Xian gently patted my hand and said softly, don't mind him, let's continue the press conference. I nodded and said to the audience, sorry for the embarrassment, let's proceed with the Q&A. The press conference continued. Finally, I looked at the audience and said with a smile, that concludes today's press conference. Thank you all for coming. Going forward, Yang Control Technology will continue to strive and bring everyone more and better products. Thank you. Warm applause erupted from the audience. After the press conference, Lu Xian led me backstage. He took a ring box from his pocket, knelt on one knee, looked into my eyes and said earnestly, Yanci, I know you've been through a lot of hardships, but I hope that in the days to come I can stay by your side, protect you, take care of you and love you. Will you marry me? Looking into Lu Xian's sincere eyes, I couldn't hold back my tears. Over these 3 years I had experienced too much pain and betrayal. I thought I would never believe in love again, but Lu Xian's arrival was like a beam of light illuminating my dark world. He respects me, trusts me, and supports me. He has stayed by my side through my toughest times. I know he is someone I can entrust my life to. I nodded and said with a choked voice, yes, I will. Lu Xian excitedly slipped the ring onto my ring finger, then stood up and held me tightly. The employees and reporters in the audience all applauded. Flashes kept going off, capturing this moment of happiness. Leaning in Lu Xian's arms, I showed a happy smile. I knew that my happiness had finally arrived. 1 year later, Yang Control Technology has become the largest industrial robot R&D and manufacturing enterprise in Asia. Our products are exported to more than 50 countries and regions around the world, serving as a calling card for Made in China. Lu Xian and I also had a grand wedding. On the wedding day, many guests arrived, including my family, friends, employees, and many people from the industry. Lin Wan was my maid of honor. She looked at me and said with a smile, Yanci, you finally found your happiness. I'm truly happy for you. I looked back at her and smiled too. Thank you, Wanwan, for always being by my side. At the wedding, Lu Xian held my hand and said to all the guests, I will love Yanci with all my life, protect her, and never let her suffer any more harm. Looking into Lu Xian's gentle eyes, my heart was filled with happiness. After marriage, our life was very sweet. Lu Xian doted on me, treating me like a treasure. He supported my career and when I was tired would give me a warm hug. I also set up a public welfare foundation against illegal detention to help women who had gone through the same ordeal as me. I hope that through my efforts, more people can stay away from harm and live happy lives. Today is the opening ceremony of Yangkong Technology's new headquarters. The new headquarters is located in the city's CBD, a 50-story skyscraper. The building's exterior features our own dynamic lighting system which displays beautiful patterns at night, making it a new city landmark. Many guests attended the opening ceremony, dressed in a red professional suit. I stood on stage and delivered the opening speech. Dear leaders, distinguished guests, hello everyone. Welcome to the opening ceremony of Yangkong Technology's new headquarters. 1 year ago, Yangkong Technology was just a small company with a dozen people. Today, we have become a leader in the industry. This achievement would not have been possible without everyone's support and help, nor without the efforts of every member of our team. I looked at the employees in the audience. Their faces were full of pride. In the future, Yangkong Technology will continue to strive, uphold independent innovation, and develop more and better industrial robot products. At the same time, we will take on more social responsibilities and help more people in need. Thunderous applause rang out from the audience. After the ceremony, I saw the guests off. Just then I spotted a familiar figure. It was Shen Yuan. He had just been released from prison wearing a faded white shirt with graying hair and a hunched back. He stood at the back of the crowd, watching me from afar. Seeing me look at him, he quickly lowered his head and turned to leave. I called out to him, Shen Yuan. He stopped, slowly turned around and looked at me with complicated eyes. How are you? I asked. I'm fine, Shen Yuan said, keeping his head down. I found a job at a factory. I can support myself. That's good, I said. Yancy. Shen Yuan raised his head and looked at me. I'm sorry I wronged you in the past. It's all in the past, I said. Live well from now on. Shen Yuan nodded, tears streaming down his face. Yancy, I wish you happiness. You deserve better. Then he turned and left, watching his downtrodden back. My heart was filled with mixed emotions. The love, hate, and entanglements of the past had faded away with time. I no longer hated him, nor did I love him. He was just a passerby in my life. Lu Zian came over and gently hugged me from behind. What are you thinking about? Nothing, I said, turning around and leaning into his arms. I was thinking how lucky I am to have met you. Lu Zian smiled, kissed my forehead and said, Silly, meeting you is my fortune. He held me and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. Outside the window were the countless lights of the city. Each light represented a warm home. In the factory in the distance, our robots were working in an orderly manner, contributing to the upgrading of China's manufacturing industry. Looking at everything before me, I smiled with relief. 3 years of hell, 15 years of obsessive love, all had become the past. I once thought that my life would forever remain in darkness, but now I have finally walked out of the shadows and welcomed the sunshine that belongs to me. I have a husband who loves me, a successful career, and the ability to help others. I have become the person I always wanted to be. The stars reward those who journey on. Time rewards those who stay devoted. As long as you don't give up, as long as you bravely move forward, you will surely welcome your own light. Rise toward the sun, forge ahead without fear. This is the life of Su Yancy.